Mayor Darren White for a few words.
Thanks, Doug. First of all, I want to thank Diana Morris, Doug Harkness, Dufferin Board of Trade for hosting the event tonight. It's one of those great community partnerships we have with, quite frankly, our municipality, but all the municipalities in Dufferin. We work really well with the Dufferin Board of Trade. It's really great to see. I'm going to let Doug sort of talk about the process of tonight specifically in a little bit. I just wanted to give the folks that are tuning in an idea of how the process works. And as a result of a resignation before Christmas in November, we have a vacancy on council, and the Municipal Act allows us a couple of different ways to fill that, that spot. One, of course, would be by election, which would be problematic in times of pandemic. And the other one is by appointment. That appointment can take two forms. We could, as a council, just pick somebody from the municipality and appoint them, or what we've chosen to do and what most municipalities in our situation do is have some kind of a application process trying to get a number of qualified candidates to come out and put their name forward. And then there's different ways of doing it. What we have chosen to do is certainly ask for qualified candidates, expressions of interest. You'll see 4 of those folks tonight. They put in an application that was certified by the clerk of the township, and you'll get an opportunity to ask your questions of them tonight. Following that, the council will meet next Thursday, and council will ask some further questions to each per candidate. At that time, at a subsequent meeting a couple of days later, we will meet again. Council will deliberate. We will try to agree on one of the 4 candidates. If we can't clearly agree on one, then we will do a vote or a series of votes until we get to ultimately one candidate. That being said, I do want to thank the 4 candidates who have put their name forward. They come from varied backgrounds, but they're all eminently qualified. There are some great things when you read about them, or if you know them in your community. And I really appreciate all the work you've done putting your names forward tonight. The last thing I will say is anyone who's on the call tonight, and Doug will tell you how you get to ask questions. But after this meeting tonight, if you want to contact a member of council or all members of council or no members of council and to tell them your opinion on the candidates, you're welcome to do that. All of our email addresses can be found on the township website, and we'd love to hear what you have to say as the general public. And I'll leave it at that. I'll turn it back to Doug Harkness, who is going to be the moderator tonight, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much, and good luck, candidates.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor White. I'll just give a little rundown on how things are going to work tonight and who I am and the Board of Trade. I'm the volunteer treasurer for the Board of Trade, and the Dufferin Board of Trade is a nonprofit community building organization dedicated to helping local business thrive. We act as the voice of business in Dufferin, and over the years have conducted many federal, provincial, and municipal election forums to help connect citizens and our political leaders and discuss the issues impacting our communities and our businesses. This is our first ever all candidates session conducted over Zoom, and we thank the Township of Melancthon for selecting us to host this session on their behalf. How the Zoom etiquette will work tonight is, please be advised that tonight's session is being recorded and it will be posted to YouTube in a couple days. The link to the video will be available through the Township and the Board of Trade. Recognizing that many of us have issues with rural broadband, we'll be keeping the videos and mics off for all guests tonight to minimize bandwidth and background noise. The 4 candidates, myself, and the timekeeper will be the only cameras and live mics during the session. Questions for the candidates can be asked using the Zoom chat feature. If you click on the chat button at the bottom of your screen, it will open a side panel and you can type your question there. After all candidates provide their opening remarks, I will be asking the questions of the candidates that come in via chat. Each candidate will be given up to 5 minutes for their opening remarks after I've read their bio and that they have submitted to us. So I didn't spend a lot of time researching these bios, they were submitted by the candidates. And speaking order was drawn on Friday, and the first candidate to speak will be Alan Wilson. So I will read Alan's bio now.
Absolutely.
Alan Wilson is an active individual in Melancthon. He is a retired manager from Honda Canada Manufacturing, a husband and father of 3 daughters. He volunteers for the Dundalk Agricultural Society and for the Shepherd's Cupboard Food Bank in Shelburne. Alan was born in Toronto and moved to Melancthon over 30 years ago, where he lived on a farm that is still owned by his parents. 20 years ago, he purchased his own farm just down the road from his parents' place, and he continues to farm alongside his father. For many years, Alan successfully trained and raced standard bred horses. You may have seen him racing at the Dundalk Fall Fair or at many of the surrounding racetracks. He was easily spotted with the large green shamrock on his back that represented his Irish roots. Now that Alan has retired, he would like to focus on items closer to home and hopes to have the opportunity to give back to the community that he has spent so much of his life in. Alan, you will have up to 5 minutes for your opening remarks.
Well, thank you very much, Doug. Well, good evening. To start with, I'd like to start by recognizing International Women's Day and thank all the wonderful women in my life that because without them, I wouldn't be who I am today, as well as all the other women that are celebrating International Women's Day today. I'd also like to thank Denise Holmes and her team as well. As a Dufferin Board of Trade, I'd like to thank them for putting this meeting together, as well as handling this situation in unique times, because it certainly has been challenging with my technical aptitude on the computer, as you learned earlier. So a little bit about me. Obviously, my name is Alan Wilson. I've been a resident of Melancthon Township for over 30 years. I am a retiree from Honda Canada, where I was manager at that position. At my time at Honda involved valuable training in leadership, budget management, conflict resolution, as well as workplace safety and root cause analysis. At Honda, I was required to develop and manage multi-million-dollar budgets, as well as long and short-term business plans. Most of this was accomplished by developing working relationships with my team members to reach our goals. I was also challenged during my tenure to become a mentor to the management team of Alabama facility. So a big impact on my family, as well as a big impact on me personally, but very successful. And currently, I am engaged in farming with my father. So really the struggles of day-to-day farming, not lost on me. I'm interested in the counselor position so that I can have an active role in our community. I'd like to build strong relationships and engage with my fellow residents to help have their views expressed in a meaningful way. As a council member, I would like to represent the public and consider the well-being and interests of our municipality. Many of my neighbors actually encouraged me to apply for this position. And as I move into my next phase of life, I have that opportunity to actually focus on the items and make a balanced decision, understanding all 3 sides of those situations. Having being a longtime resident of Melancthon, I believe that I'm kind of in tune with the community's needs, and I could be a valuable point of contact for the members in our municipality who have issues and opinions to share on how the community should be improved for all. I've prepared for this council position by familiarizing myself with prior meeting minutes, so I would be up to speed with current issues, and by studying the Ontario Municipal Councillor's Guide. And I gotta be honest, it's a little dry. And I'm just saying. I believe my experience could help provide strategic thinking on a wide range of items, such as budgeting, planning, and economic development. I have dedicated a lot of time to Honda Canada Manufacturing, and anybody who has worked in manufacturing for any period of time understands how urgent it is to actually make decisions. So I've been fairly successful at that. I really enjoy the opportunity to try and support Melancthon and its residents in the upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for your presentation. I'd now like to introduce our next candidate, Thomas Reid. Firstly, Thomas wants everyone to know that he is proud to be born and raised in Melancthon and a resident of Dufferin County. Thomas is also proud to be a member of the Brian's Fuel Team, where he works full-time as an HVAC technician, lead hand. He is a graduate of Center Dufferin District High School and is also a graduate of Georgian College's Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning program. As a lifetime resident of Melancthon, he has taken a strong interest in community activities, including local sports, public education, and charity fundraising events. Early in Thomas's adult life, he has had a keen interest in politics at all levels of government and has aspirations of a long political career. Thomas is known as a friendly, outgoing, and helpful person who enjoys the support of a large network of family and friends in this community. In his spare time, Thomas enjoys recreational billiards, hockey, camping, hiking, and functions with family and friends. Thomas Reid.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start out. Good evening, councillors, Melancthon staff, and fellow candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Thomas Reid. First off, I would like to thank everyone on the council for giving me this great opportunity to be considered for the position of councillor in the great township of Melancthon. As a lifetime resident of Melancthon Township, I enjoy it, this friendly and tight-knit community. The reasons I've applied for this position was that I was given the opportunity to give back to my community and be a part of the leadership team to help guide for the future of our great community. As a fifth generation Reid family of Melancthon, I am proud of our history and who we are. Given this opportunity, I will do whatever it takes to help support our community and our way of life. What I bring to the table is integrity, commitment, and honesty. I promise that I will listen, I will have an open mind, I will ask questions, I will, and given an understanding that I do not know, I will find out the answer. I have the ability to research and learn and to figure it out. I'm a team player at heart. I've had the pleasure of being a productive member from someone who's from an awesome team, and I know what it takes to work hard with people. I'm looking to move forward and taking my next step in life in my political career. In closing, I hope that you will consider me for this position, and I look forward to answering any of your questions and discussing the important issues with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. I'd now like to introduce our next candidate, Jim Turner. Jim Turner grew up in Melancthon, right next door to the property where he is currently living. Jim was raised by his parents, Jim Sr. and Shirley Turner, and has two sisters, Cheryl and Cindy. Jim attended the Shelburne Junior School, then Centennial Highlands Elementary School, and graduated grade 12, where he attended Center Dufferin District High School in Shelburne as well. In 1998, he received his certificate as an automotive technician. Jim married his wife, Joanne Kinsley, in 1991. They built their own home in 1992, in which they still live. They raised their two children on the property in Melancthon, Tyler and Tiffany. Jim also runs the mechanic shop on his property, which he is currently taking over since his father passed away. Jim has continued on with his father's customer base, which is made up of a lot of locals, and he's been operating his own business since 2008. Jim is very mechanically inclined and up for any challenge. His interests are fishing, demolition derbies, ATVing, and any family functions. Jim Turner, over to you.
Thank you. I am very new to this world. I didn't prepare a big speech. I'm not very well at speaking about myself, but I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I'm more of a one-on-one person. I like to get involved more in my community instead of just sitting back and watching everything kind of happen and go by. As everybody's noticed in the last couple of years, this whole world has changed a lot, and there's not a lot of personal stuff that goes on. It's more through a screen. It's just totally different world that's going to take a lot of getting used to. What I bring to the table is I'm very community minded. I love to get involved. I like solving problems. I've been able to deal with a lot of issues and problems that normal people deal with, but also some that other people haven't had to deal with. This is making me a lot more nervous than I thought it would. It's really strange talking to a screen, but I'm up for a new challenge. I look forward to talking with people and meeting people and hearing what they need from me. And I've always heard if you need something done, ask a busy person, because they seem to find a way and a situation to get it done. So I'm gonna end it now because that's about all I can say.
Thanks very much, Jim. No need to be nervous. You did just great.
Thank you.
Now like to introduce our final candidate, James Mclean. Born and raised in Dufferin County, James completed a master's degree in public policy from Wilfrid Laurier University in 2009 on a full scholarship. He has since worked on files that span the policy spectrum, from energy and education to finance, technology, and infrastructure. From 2006 to 18, James served as a senior advisor to the Minister of Education, where he provided strategic advice on the execution of the Premier's childcare strategy. After leaving the province, he worked with the City of Toronto to develop strategies to help Syrian refugees and children in disadvantaged neighborhoods gain access to education and social services. He also served as a manager with the region of Peel, where he oversaw a $200 million budget and led efforts to create emergency programs for first responders during COVID-19. James proudly joined the Melancthon Fire Department in January as a volunteer firefighter. He and his wife Beatrice live in Hornings Mills with their 3 rambunctious sons. James Mclean.
Great. Thank you, Doug, and good evening, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. I'd like to start by thanking the Dufferin Board of Trade for hosting this all candidates meeting, my fellow candidates, and everyone who is tuning in to this discussion tonight. My name is James Mclean. I was born and raised in Shelburne and later moved to the third line of Melancthon. I now live with my wife and 3 kids in the beautiful community of Hornings Mills. This virtual meeting is really a great opportunity for the 4 of us to give Melancthon residents and members of council an idea of who we are and what we bring to the table. And I think it's clear from the introductions of my colleagues, Alan, Tom, and Jim, that they all bring tremendous amount of skills and experience to this position. However, I believe I can bring a unique voice to council for 3 main reasons. First, having grown up in Melancthon and Shelburne, I know this area very well. This is a community where I played hockey each winter, and I spent my summers repairing roads as a student laborer with the Dufferin County Roads Department. Because I grew up here, I know the key issues facing our township. Things like ensuring families and those working from home have access to high-speed internet, finding ways to better support and bring attention to our farmers, attracting investment into our community, and putting a plan in place that ensures that we're at the table when the province and the federal government come up with new rules that impact our community. I know this community, and I believe I have the skills and experience to help it work through these issues. Second, as a relatively young professional, I think I could bring new ideas and perspectives to council. More and more people in their 20s and 30s are purchasing homes and moving into this township. And for this reason, I think it would be beneficial to have another generation represented around the council table. And finally, I bring over 10 years of government experience to this position. Since 2010, I've worked in senior level positions with the Government of Canada, the Government of Ontario, the City of Toronto, and the region of Peel. I have direct experience delivering social programs to Canadians. I have experience overseeing infrastructure programs and managed a significant budget where it was my job to find efficiencies and really, honestly, to stretch every single tax dollar. In a nutshell, I think, I know how government works, and I also know how to get federal and provincial attention because I used to work there. And I think that will be especially important this year. The Prime Minister and Premier Ford are both preparing to release their individual budgets. And these are budgets that are expected to have funding set aside to help municipalities really accelerate out of this pandemic. And I think our community needs someone who can hit the ground running to support the rest of council and our admin staff so that we can take advantage of every opportunity that comes out of those budgets. With my background and experience, I know I could help advance the great work that council's already started. Now, I know we'll have an opportunity to get into these issues over the course of the discussion. So I'll end it there, and I look forward to tonight's discussion and to your questions.
Thank you, James. That was great. So now I would encourage audience members to use the chat function on Zoom and type in your questions, and I'll start directing them to the candidates as they come in. And while we're waiting for those, I want to thank all the candidates for your great intros. The last one I did of these was in the town of Orangeville, and I trust there's no one from Orangeville on the call. But pretty much every candidate went over. So it was great that you got your points across and stayed well within the allotted times. So we're still looking for questions from the field. There's no Leaf update that I can give you tonight. They play tomorrow night. I'm sure there must be many great and important issues that the crowd wants to know about. I'm sure the questions are really long. Here we go. So Alan, you're going to get the first crack at this one. Rural economic development question. How do you balance supporting small business and development with maintaining the calm, quiet, rural beauty of the community?
Well, thank you for the question. I think it's a wonderful question because I think that's something we've all worked towards. Obviously, I enjoy the beauty because I am a farm person. So I want it to remain quiet rural beauty. And I think we have seen some economic development through some smaller businesses that are being launched in the area. So that's encouraging. I think that really we have some small business. If we consider farming a small business, I think we can do that. We can look at how we can somehow help the farmer, because really, ultimately, that's what Melancthon is a farming community at the end of the day. So somehow we need to look at that. And I really would have to study it. I'm not going to just blast off, this is how I would do it. I would have to understand where we are today a little more efficiently, and also understand what are the sides that we need to understand. I want to make an unbiased decision to actually approach this. So that would be kind of the way I would do. I'm all for the beauty of the area because I love Melancthon. I was born and raised here. I actually bought a farm here because I liked it so much. So I think we need to take a look at where we are and where the development currently is, and how do we put some, obviously, as James, and I don't want to steal any of James' thunder, but he mentioned the government's going to create a budget, and in it's going to be some subsidies to actually support communities such as ours. So I'd like to understand what that is and see how we can actually implement it into an area like Melancthon and actually develop and drive some business. It's something I've had obviously some experience on, taking a look at how we can actually make the most of our money, because my focus was from Honda was corporate lead for loss. So I'm not going to look at so much how we can make savings, but how do we eliminate the loss so we can actually maximize the money we have in the area to drive our business. And that would be how I would do it, but I'd have to take a look at more of the specifics before I made an answer like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thomas, over to you.
I think supporting local businesses in the community is very important. For instance, I know that the local farmers have really amplified during COVID, that a lot of people have reached out, and that's great, at the roadsides, like Lennox Farms and everything like that, as I have partaken in. I hope that you guys did too. They just put an order in the back of my trunk, and I was away with fresh produce every week, and it was great. And that's why we need to support our local farmers, and maintaining and doing that balance is a very difficult thing. It's how do we keep how do we keep the Melancthon we know and not without compromising our future and going to a place where we don't want to be. We want to bring more internet to our community, and by supporting our local shops, that people that are small businesses, and we do have quite a bit of small businesses in Melancthon that we can support without going too far and destroying our local farmland. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Thomas. Jim Turner, over to you.
I am a big supporter of small business. I have ran one for a few years, and my dad has ran one for a lot of years of his own. I like seeing that this community, as soon as we are in a different world with all this new technology and not being able to go out as much, it's good to see that everybody has different ideas on how to change and how to make money in this world differently. And there's a lot of people doing deliveries, and there's a lot of people doing home deliveries, and the farmers are amazing with their food baskets and stuff like that, and their chain of communication and their chain of getting it from one place to another. Melancthon is a huge farming township, and it's nice to see that. It's not nice to see that our towns are becoming commuter towns. Everyone's back and forth through the week, and on the weekends they're there and enjoying it. But it'd be nice to see some industry or jobs locally, or more small businesses, that people can enjoy this all through the week instead of just enjoying it on the weekends. I'd like to talk to some people and get ideas on jobs and stuff that they think is a good idea, because there's lots of ideas in the community that if we just had a way of getting them out there, they would make a lot of sense to a lot of people. I'm going to end it there.
Thank you, Jim. James Mclean, over to you.
Yeah, I would agree with what a lot of my colleagues have said. You know, I think by and large, it would be helpful for council to engage with the community around what kind of development our residents want to see. I think people should have the opportunity to have a say in how we build up the local economy. That being said, you know, I do have some ideas that I think, you know, I would like to put out there for consideration. You know, the business environment really has changed, especially since COVID. There's more people working from home. There's more people creating businesses from home. And so I think, you know, we can create business opportunities right here without necessarily having to build up big factories or changing the landscape. And so, you know, I think the first thing that I would want to look at is, you know, what are the grants and investments that are already out there to support local businesses, businesses that people are starting up in their home, and to support them and get them up and running. My colleagues mentioned farmers. I think, you know, they really are the backbone of our community. And, you know, I think a key part of the local development is to be focusing on the businesses that are already here. Our farmers are small business owners. And I think there's more that we can do to support them and showcase their work. Things like more farmers markets and community events to showcase all the work that they do in the community. And perhaps looking at opportunities to make it easier for those who are interested on the farm to sell directly to consumers through online apps. There's a number of different farms that I've come across in recent years who sell you know, directly to people through their websites and through online apps. And I think, you know, there's another opportunity there that we could explore to help support our farmers and make them more money. The other opportunity that kind of comes to mind is, you know, I think our greatest strength is our natural resources.
Thank you, James.
Okay.
Thank you, James.
Yep.
Thomas, Reid, you'll have the first crack at the next question. So this is to all candidates. Are you familiar with the Melancthon Township official plan?
I am familiar partially with it. I would have to look it over again. Like I said, that anything that I don't know for sure, I would not say for certain. But I have looked it over, and I am encouraged by what we have planned in what we have in the plan. That's all I have to say.
Jim Turner?
I'm not familiar with the official plan of the township. So if I answer the question, I would be just saying something I don't know. So properly, I'm sure I could find out, and I'm sure I could get back with an answer, but I don't feel that I should answer that wrongly.
Thank you, Jim. James Mclean, over to you.
I have reviewed it, but I wouldn't be able to speak to specific off the top of my head.
Okay. Alan Wilson? Alan, did you have anything on the official plan? I think you're muted.
I'm sorry. I just got it fixed. Sorry. It's just technology. I'm sorry about that, Doug. But absolutely, I understand the plan. Honestly, I don't understand the status of the plan. So it's great to make a plan, but I'd really like to understand where that status is and what we need to throw our resource behind, and understand where our focus needs to be. Obviously, I've managed a lot of plans, some successfully, some not so. But obviously, I don't know the status of the plan. I've seen it, but I don't know where we are on it. So I wouldn't add any value if you asked. Thank you.
Okay. And remember, these questions aren't coming from me.
That's okay.
So the next one, Jim Turner, you're going to get the first crack at this one. There are some strong personalities on council. How will you ensure that your and the people of Melancthon perspectives are heard in that environment?
I've always been very good at working with other people. I've been good at getting people to get my point of view and get their point of view understood by me. Communication is a huge thing. Expressing if you have an issue or whatever, the best thing is to get it out on the table and deal with it instead of building on it or letting it fester into something that it doesn't need to be. A big, huge part of this job is going to be working with other people. And if you don't agree with their opinion, it's nice to find out where their opinion comes from. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but opinions can be changed with the right information, education, and dealing with stuff properly. That's all I have to say on that.
All right, thank you, Jim.
Okay.
James Mclean, over to you.
So thank you for the question. I think it's a good one. I think it really depends on the circumstance, right? Like there's certain views that I will hold that I will stand firmly behind and really push for. If there's a debate on council. In other times, I think in most times though, that I think, to be honest, everyone around the council table will have the community's interests at heart. I think there'll be some common threads, in any given debate. And, in my previous professional life, I helped to lead some negotiations between different parties. And I think the trick is to try to find that compromise and to find the commonalities among the different players around the table. And so, I have experience doing that. But it's about knowing where your red line is and where you want to dig in and make sure that you stand up for the point that you have, and then everything else you try to negotiate as much as possible.
Okay, thank you, James. Alan Wilson.
Well, obviously there are some strong personalities. I would probably be included in that. One of the key things I can tell you, and James really touched on it, is kind of understanding what the issues are and choosing the ones you want to dig in on. I don't think we could take on every single issue that every person has, but I think my viewpoint would be I'm going to approach it with an unbiased opinion. They can tell me their sides. We can understand all the sides. We can somehow have a symbiotic relationship between all sides. I think that I'm a fairly strong personality. Obviously, I wouldn't have had the history I had if I wasn't. So obviously, I've had a lot of interaction with people, and I really think that we can create a better dynamic relationship on the council. And I've recognized it when I put in my application. I mentioned it to the young lady, Denise. I said, I don't understand it, but it's something we need to work on as people. Because if I was a resident, which I am, of Melancthon, and I saw that there was infighting in my council, I would wonder, where are we directing our energies to? Is it a personal thing, or is it more from the community standpoint? And really, that's where I would focus my energies, is in the community, to understand what they needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thomas Reid, over to you.
Well, I can tell you that during the COVID season, if you want to call it that, the tensions are running really high, and I believe that's reflected in council. Now, everyone on the council has been doing a great job, in my understanding of what's been going on in Melancthon. But for me personally, what I would bring to the table to help them maybe work together better as a team. I'm a team player. I can be a leader if I need to be. Everyone has something to offer, whether that's an opinion or a question or anything. We can always use people to work together and to create a better future for Melancthon. Being kind and polite are one of the biggest things in one of these things when you are working with others, and listening and understanding. And if you don't know the answer, then you ask, and you ask more questions, and then ask them again, and then research yourself. And then finally, I believe we can make an understanding after that. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Thomas. James, you'll get the first crack at our next question. So the question is, I'm sure you are all aware of the pay raise council gave themselves. What is your opinion regarding this decision?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Was this question for me?
Yeah, you're up first on this one.
Okay, so thank you. I know that this was a controversial issue in Melancthon, and I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. To be honest, I'm not sure when the last pay raise was for council. I think, perhaps the timing wasn't the best, but at the same time, council does work hard for the community, and I think in order to attract the best and the brightest among us, there needs to be some level of compensation. I think on a go forward basis, though, I'm not coming to this position for the money, to be honest. I've got a full-time job. And so, I'm more focused on what the issues are. And so as we move forward, as I mentioned earlier, I think keeping a close eye on our budget and being as fiscally tight as possible and as responsible with taxpayer dollars would be my main focus. So, on a go forward basis, all I can say is that, a further increase to council wages would not be something that I would be supportive of. But I won't comment on the most recent increase, because I wasn't privy to the conversations, nor do I know when the last increase was.
Okay. Thank you, James. Alan Wilson, over to you.
Thank you. I am aware of the pay increase council gave themselves, and I don't know if I have an opinion at this point, because really I haven't been a council person. So for me to make a statement that they're overpaid or underpaid would kind of be me jumping off a cliff and hoping I land safely. So really, I'm, as James mentioned, I'm certainly not in it for the money. I've retired already. I've done my job. I was looking at it more as an opportunity to give back. And I actually, for the first time in my life, have the time to give back, because anybody who's actually functioned in a job, especially manufacturing, it's 12 to 14-hour days every single day. So now I've got an opportunity to take a breath, understand what our community needs, and move forward towards that. So I'm not going to state whether I agree or disagree with the raise, because honestly, not having functioned in the role and not having actually completed the job, I don't know how I could make a very wise decision. That would be kind of just a gut instinct, and probably a red flag for me if I was voting for a candidate or discussing a candidate, would be that they have a very strong opinion on something they're really not an expert on. And that's kind of where I stand on the question. I'm aware of it, but I don't understand if it was justified or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thomas Reid, over to you.
Based on reviewing the raise that council gave themselves, I totally think it's valid. It's not a lot of money, and they worked really hard. I personally didn't know about the raise until after I applied, but I'm glad to hear about it, even though I'm not in for money. Again, I work full-time at Bryan Schools, but it's about who we're trying to attract to the job. Again, if we bring that another person in the community that is better suited for the role, we're all for it.
Thank you, Thomas. Jim Turner, over to you.
Everything's pretty much been said, but I agree that it is other people's money that we are spending, whether justified or not. Same thing. I haven't done the role. I don't know what the actual outline expectations are without doing it. It's the thing of, if you're going to judge somebody, you should walk a mile in their shoes. So until you've done it, you don't really understand what you're doing for said amount of money. And it probably has been a while since the money has been raised, but the job has probably changed from years ago too. Going forward, I am not in it just for the money. I'm sure that's a perk that everybody else gets when they do their daily duties. It's something that maybe gives you a different attitude and a better outlook. And the other thing is, you want to give the people everything they expect for the money that you're getting. It's a touchy subject. It is other people's money, but at the end of the day, it could be money well spent if you prove that you're worth it in the end. That's kind of my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Okay.
That's one of those questions that moderators love to see candidates squirm on.
Yeah.
Alan, you're next. You're back in the leadoff spot for the next question. Have you had involvement in any council meetings during the current term? And if so, in what manner? Need to turn on your mic, Alan.
Okay, sorry about that, Doug. Yes, I have, and it was a very similar format to this, because that's the way I could actually attend the meetings, was to actually watch them on the computer and understand. And really, that's where I was. I looked in. I haven't attended one for any personal grievances or anything like that. So I've attended from a virtual standpoint, but certainly not physically, because I've never had a reason to I've never had a complaint. So you guys must be doing a great job. Thank you.
All right, Thomas Reid.
I have occasionally dropped in on a couple Zoom calls of councils, not only Melancthon, but Dufferin County in a whole. Like recently, they had a discussion about a plot of land that was going to be severed on Third Line, just down the road from me. And it was very interesting to see how council members conduct themselves throughout that discussion. I think it's important for all community members that are interested in who is running their township or county to keep an eye on us and see if we're actually doing the things that they want us to do. And if not, then they can contact us. any of us really, because we're an open book. Really, anybody can get our phone number or our email and talk to us about the issues that really they need to discuss with us.
Thank you, Thomas. Jim Turner, over to you.
I have actually never attended a council meeting, and but it's something I am wishing right now that I had have been involved a little more and known what to expect and had a little more experience. It's something that might be very interesting for me in the future, but no, I have never actually sat in on a council meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. James Mclean, you get the last crack at this one.
Yeah, so the most recent council meeting that I had, and I think this leads into your next question, was when there was discussions going on about whether or not to fund the hall in Hornings Mills. And so, having just recently moved to the community, I saw the impact of that hall had on the community spirit and bringing people together. And it became really important for me to listen into council and to see, how it was being discussed and debated. I think, that really underlined for me the importance of council, and, having the community come forward and bring forward issues and being able to interact with councillors. I think we got the answer. The community got the answers that they had wanted, and that was some additional funding for that hall. And so, I think the system worked, and I see it as it was really a community-led initiative, and the community representatives, the councillors, agreed and moved it forward. And so, I think that really underlined for me the importance of council, and it's one of the reasons why I'm running.
Thank you, James. Thomas Reid, you'll get the first crack at the next question. Are you familiar with the Hornings Mills Hall, and what do you see the future of the hall for Melancthon?
I am very familiar with Hornings Mills Hall. My sister and brother both live around the corner from there. My sister had her engagement party there. My mom does artwork shows there and has done the Christmas art show there. I love that place. It is close to my heart. It is something where I believe that we just need to advertise it more and bring it forward to the community more, that this is an available venue for them for birthdays, community events, and things like that, where it really is a epicenter of Hornings Mills, that we just need to work on that and bring the community and more involved in it, because I believe we had Pancake Day there a couple years ago. That was great. As COVID right now, it's very difficult in those situations, but I hope soon, maybe this summer, we could get back to that.
Thank you, Thomas. Jim Turner, over to you.
Yes, with this changing world, I really like the community aspect and the community togetherness, and community hall is fantastic for building a community and keeping a chain of command and keeping communication going through it and raising money for the community. It is a very good way to keep people together, but in this new world, it just is very hard to change and think about how we can make that work now. Hopefully it's not going to be long before everything goes back to normal, but so far we're not seeing a new normal. The meetings and stuff, instead of being public, are all online now, and there is no near future of seeing it being any different. A community hall needs to survive because a lot of people can count on it, and if anybody in a community has a hard time, that's usually where they have a benefit dance or get people together just to bring their spirits up, or it's a big staple in a community as far as growing and keeping it together. And that's all.
Thank you, Jim. James Mclean, over to you.
Yeah, this one, this question actually means a lot to me because it was a little over 10 years ago, 13 or 14 years ago, I guess, that I had gone off to school and left this community. And since over that time, I moved to Calgary, I lived in Ottawa, I lived in Toronto. But when it was time to settle down, I came back to this community. And I came back to this community because this is in my opinion, this is the best place to raise children. And it's because of places like the Hornings Mills Hall. Whenever we moved back, just almost 3 years ago, I was blown away by the community spirit and how often that hall gets used. It was really clear that nothing had changed and that was truly a community gathering space. And so I think we need to protect it. We need to preserve it. And, you know, we've really missed it during the COVID pandemic. I know I have, and my kids have, the not being able to go in there. And I think, you know, as we start to think about the post-pandemic time, we should be experimenting with what we can do with that place. Maybe doing more events with Museum of Dufferin, holding farmers events, farmers markets there, celebrations. I really think it's an important gathering point for the community. And I think, you know, as counselors and as hopefully aspiring counselor, we should be working with the community to find out how we can better use that facility.
Thank you, James. Alan Wilson.
Okay, I am familiar with the hall. I've been there a few times. Very nice hall. I think along James' comments, I really think we need to not only look at protect and preserve, but how do we maximize it as an opportunity for this community to create some level of identity? I've been in Melancthon 30 plus years, and I agree with James. It's a beautiful place to raise your kids. I've raised 3 daughters here. Loved it. Obviously, moved away for a little bit, but always came back, always looking forward to it. But how can we gain some momentum? I know right now we're looking at a pandemic and we're looking at some limited opportunity to do things, but even something as simple as meet your counselors or meet your council, meet your mayor, just that kind of community outreach, as well as the businesses. We have businesses in the area that could use it. Now, for instance, TransAlta uses Shelburne for their parties, which really doesn't make any sense. Why could we not have that activity occur in someplace like Hornings Mills? It's a wonderful hall. I think last time I was there was for the marijuana farm. So last time I was there, and it was just magnificent. And I think we need to look at how can we create it as a Melancthon entity versus just Hornings Mills. It's a Horning Mills hall, but how can we gain some momentum and build some kind of tide where we can actually say, this is what happens in Melancthon and this is where it happens. And that's kind of my viewpoint on it. I don't think we use it enough. I don't think people are aware of it enough. And I don't think as a township, we actually reach out to the businesses that are here and suggest that they actually have any kind of events they want to have or anything there. So for instance, a farmer's market, obviously parties, things like that are always going to happen there. But how do we grab those one-offs that maybe are slipping under the radar? That would be my viewpoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Jim Turner, you're going to get the first crack at the next question. Are you familiar with the road issues and the road management plan?
I am familiar with some of the road issues, but I am not familiar with the road management plan. They're doing a fantastic job at keeping our roads clear in the winter. I know it's a lot easier to not miss days of work because of bad roads. I know the school kids are not missing near as many days at school, but as far as the budget, I know everything is costing way more. And if the community actually understood how much a road actually costs and how fast it accumulates, And then there's a few issues with overweight vehicles and stuff like that that are making our roads wear out sooner than they should be. There is a few issues with them. It's something that we need to work on, and I would be looking forward to discussing it with a few people. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. James Mclean, over to you.
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I am familiar with the issues, the road issues in Melancthon. Melancthon has 400 kilometers of roads that we have to maintain and repair and rebuild. And that doesn't include all of the bridges. So, we have some aging infrastructure, and I think this council has been doing a good job of prioritizing where to put the taxpayer money to upgrade some of that infrastructure. I think the honest truth is that resources are limited, right? And we have to be very selective each year in terms of which capital project we're going to invest in, and where we're going to be focusing our attention. And I think, I guess 2 comments on that. The first is just that, again, we've got the province is expected to release their budget in the coming month. I would expect that there will probably be some infrastructure funding there that I think this council will have to be all over to apply for, and to make sure that we understand the rules around it, and so that we can rebuild things like our roads and bridges. The second thing I would add is, having worked at the roads department for the Dufferin County Roads Department, I know how important it is for elected officials to listen to the people who work on the ground in that roads department. I've seen what happens when they don't take the advice of the superintendent or the roads crew, and how money can be wasted because the roads are not built appropriately. And then that roads crew has to go out 6 months later and repair it. And so I see it from that perspective as well. That's a lesson I never forgot. 6 months after building a brand new road, we were out there filling in potholes. And so I think, it's important to listen to the experts.
Thank you, James. Alan Wilson.
I am actually familiar with the road management plan. I actually read it, believe it or not. It was, once again, another dry reading. I think when I looked at it, I thought they were making some logical approach to the management of our roads. We don't have a limitless amount of money. We have a very small tax base in Melancthon. We're not a very focused, concentrated population. So we're not going to have the money that, for instance, in Orangeville or somewhere like that's going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Brampton, anywhere they have roads with a bigger focus on tax base, they're going to do better. So when I looked at it, it seemed like a logical approach to how to manage our roads going forward. They'd actually done some pretty in-depth study on it. So I was very encouraged by it. And I think that, as James said, there's a limited amount of money and they have to apply it where they feel it is most valued. And I think they've done a fairly good job of that from what I've seen up till now. So yes, I understand it. And yes, I think it looks okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thomas Reid.
No, I'm not 100% familiar with the road management plan, but for such a small department, municipality, they have a very efficient system, and everybody's doing a great job. For instance, the roads department deserves a medal for getting us through last Tuesday. I would really love to thank Paul and Craig for the work they do, and everything about that. The issues with the roads in Melancthon, I am totally understanding. Third line has been amplified plenty in the past couple of years. There used to be a huge pothole that you would hit your head off the roof if you went over too fast. But they have changed that, and they have made sure that is corrected. I believe that we can change a lot of the issues on the roads just by going through it step by step and seeing where the real problems lay.
Thank you, Thomas. I'll just give a call out to see if there's any remaining questions to come in from the floor before we go off to our closing statements. James, be ready. If there aren't any more questions, you'll be up first. Just give it another second or two here. We don't want to miss any, although the mayor did state at the beginning some ways you can get your questions. You can ask them through council, direct them to town hall. Your questions will get answered if you don't get them on tonight. I really wish there was more hockey on tonight. I'd give everyone some updates. All the games are late. Seeing no further questions, I think we'll move on to closing statements. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for their closing statements, and we'll continue on with the same order that we've been doing. So James Mclean, you are up first for closing statements.
Great, thank you, Doug. So I appreciate the opportunity to join you tonight to talk about some of the key issues facing our community. As I mentioned earlier on, I think I could bring a unique voice to council. I understand the issues facing this community, from broadband internet to attracting investment into Melancthon, promoting and supporting our farmers, carefully managing our budget, and amplifying our collective voice to the federal and provincial governments. I have ideas on how we can work through these issues together. I also think that having someone from a relatively younger generation on council could benefit the township. Having grown up in a different context, I think I can bring a different perspective to the issues that we face. And as more millennials move into our community and purchase homes, I think it would be encouraging for them to see their generation represented on council. We need more young people engaged in local politics and helping to make our community a better place. And finally, I believe that my professional experience working in and with the federal and provincial municipal governments would allow me to hit the ground running with this council. And I think that that's ultimately what we need right now. We need somebody who knows how governments work, what the issues are, and how we as a community can raise our profile, particularly as the budgets are about to come down, so that we get a say in our own future. Having worked in and with the provincial and federal governments, I understand how they operate, who we need to connect with, and how to bring attention to the issues that impact all of us. Again, I would like to thank the Dufferin Board of Trade for hosting this all candidates meeting, my fellow candidates, and everyone who tuned in and posted.
Thank you, James. Alan Wilson, over to you for your closing statements.
Thank you very much, Doug, and thank you for hosting this. It's a very good job. You've been very patient with us. Obviously, James has a lot of political experience. Myself, not political, but obviously business experience. I've spent 30 years almost prepping for this job, through business, through budget, through actually people interaction, which was something I trained people on. I feel that we're doing pretty well as a township, but boy, would I ever like to establish an identity for Melancthon. When you say you're from Melancthon, people really don't think of anything. They really don't seem to understand what Melancthon is. I know what Orangeville is, I know what Callanan is, I know what Grand Valley or Shelburne is, but really, what is Melancthon about? And we recognize it is farmers, and being a farmer, I recognize we're very important in the business. So I have the farmer's voice, and Obviously, I've got some experience in how to manage plans, et cetera, and budget. But ultimately, I have the time. And really, that was one resource I never had before. And this is my next step. I never had opportunity where I could actually go out and meet people. I never had opportunity where I could actually interact with my neighbors as much as I am now. And I think that's ultimately one of the most important things we can do, is, especially in politics, is nobody ever seems to have enough time. Time is the one thing we never get more of. We'll never get any more of it. And that's the one thing I can offer, is time and the ability to actually meet with my neighbors and meet with the constituents and understand what their concerns are, because really I may have an idea what the concerns are, but until I'm actually interacting with those individuals, I'm not sure. So moving forward, I'd really like to thank the people that attended tonight, because obviously there's a lot of interest in where we're going as a township, and I'm encouraged by that and excited by it, honestly, Doug. And I look forward to, at least, first off, thank you for the opportunity to apply for this position. I look forward to actually being able to serve in Melancthon in some aspect, be it this councillor position. If it's not, I'll find something else to make that next step in my life. But I'm very excited and I'm very happy for all the candidates. They seem like very good candidates. So any one of them is a good choice. And thank you very much for the evening.
Thank you, Alan. Thomas Reid, your closing comments.
Firstly, I would like to congratulate my fellow candidates on their participation and involvement in this procedure. I would also like to thank all the Melancthon staff for the assistance and guidance through this process. Thank you as well to all those watching and participating in tonight's council meeting and throwing some curveballs at us as well. Finally, I would like to thank council and their constituents for the support during this process. I would leave you with this thought, that Melancthon is my home, and I plan on being here for the long haul. If selected, I'd be honored to be represented in this position with pride and integrity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Jim Turner, your closing comments.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Dufferin Board of Trades for their extra help and their work through this strange technology to me. Everybody's been fantastic. I've enjoyed it. This is a totally new realm for me. I'd like to thank my fellow candidates and the Melancthon Township for their guidance and help through this. I look forward to meeting new people, accepting new challenges, solving new problems, and building Melancthon up as a whole and making it a better small town community, which is what it's been built on for years. And it has really, anybody that visits it always wants to come back. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to come back to a community that has nice people and rewards of visual tranquility, nice views, and really good food. Thank you, and I appreciate everything.
Jim, thank you very much. In closing, it's fairly obvious that Melancthon Township has a very difficult decision to make. I've done a lot of these. I don't know how many, 20, 25, at all levels of government. And this is far and away the most respectful candidates I've ever been. So congratulations to you. And I'm not surprised, the great township that you hope to represent, that's the way you all behave tonight. So just in closing, happy International Women's Day. I hope everyone has a great night, and go Leafs go.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
You're killing me, Doug. You're killing me. Go Bruins.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. How do I leave?
Thanks, Doug and Diana. Great job as always. I really
Thanks, Mayor White. Appreciate it.
no worries.
Thank you, Mayor White.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mayor.